Welcome to Gambling with an Edge with your hosts Bob Dancer and Richard Munchkin. Bob Dancer is America's premier video poker writer and teacher. He's written 10 books, including Video Poker for the Intelligent Beginner and the best-selling $1 Million Video Poker. He helped develop the computer software Video Poker for Winners, and in 2004 he was inducted into the Video Poker Hall of Fame. Richard Munchkin has been a professional advantage player for over 30 years and is in the Blackjack Hall of Fame. His book, Gambling Wizards, Conversations with the World's Greatest Gamblers, is a testament to the many ways you can succeed at gambling. The goal of the show is that you'll be a more knowledgeable gambler tomorrow than you were yesterday. And now, here are Bob and Richard.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Gambling with an Edge. I'm Bob Dancer.
And I'm Richard Munchkin.
We have two guests today. Our first guest will be Jeffrey Compton, publisher of CDCGamingReports.com, talking about some gaming news that affects players. Following Jeffrey, we'll be talking to Dennis Krum. Dennis posted a thought-provoking blog on VP Free not so long ago, and we invited him here to discuss it. Jeffrey Compton is a frequent visitor to our show. Welcome back, Jeffrey.
Thank you.
On this show, we've been saying for some time that daily fantasy sports involves gambling, along with considerable skill. The two biggest daily fantasy sports sites, DraftKings and FanDuel, have argued that the games are strictly skill-based and not gambling at all. Apparently, it's being decided on a state-by-state basis. Not so long ago, Nevada said it was gambling. They didn't want it. Past week, both New York and Massachusetts have chimed in. Jeffrey, what's the latest development?
Well, the big news, and this story is changing hour by hour. I updated it just as I came in, is New York last week issued a cease and desist order to all the different, there's not just FanKing and DraftKings, there are some other sites, but they issued a cease and desist order to stop because in the Attorney General's opinion, daily fantasy sports is gambling for reasons we've all discussed. The smaller sites pulled out. The two biggies, FanDuel stopped accepting bets, new customers. DraftKings is totally ignoring it. They went to court yesterday to stop an injunction. The judge said, no, I'm not going to stop an injunction, whereby this morning New York issued an injunction against them. And they all fight it out in court. Next big date is next Wednesday, week from tomorrow. The other states are looking at it. Now, the Massachusetts governor, it's very interesting. The sides of this argument are separating along party lines. Democrats with it's gambling, shut it down. Republicans being it's free business, it should stay open. Sort of the opinion that Governor Christie expressed on the stage a debate or two back.
That's surprising to me.
That is to me, too. But, for example, two Republican members of the New York House have introduced a bill this morning to make it legal. Okay, it probably won't go anywhere, but, you know, they probably got what they were looking for. And but this is Agamemnon for these sites, because if New York successfully shuts them down, that means they will lose their investors, they will lose their sports organizations, they will lose a large market. New York courts are very influential across the United States. The federal district in that district is very influential, and most likely their payment processors will pull out. And you remember that's what killed online gambling a while back.
I've heard, I think, that New York is 30% of their business. So
that figure strikes me as a little high, but it's not, it's a substantial chunk. But the main problem is not that it would be that the ripple effect from the New York courts could be terrific.
And now Georgia, I heard,
Georgia is looking at it. Ohio is looking at it. Some states are looking at it saying that, well, why can't we make it legal and tax it? Okay? Other states are, we don't want you here because you interfere with our lottery or our casinos that we get money from. Remember, Georgia doesn't have any casinos.
Right.
So different states are looking at it very differently. But they have to win in New York, or there's a column that appeared in the RJ a couple of hours ago by Howard Stutz. It will be on our website tonight.
That website is cdcgamingreports.com. Anybody can look at the website.
Yes.
And so there are going to be updates to this story almost hourly.
Actually, I have to say that is a site that I go to every day. I mean, if you are, because a lot of our listeners are interested in gambling-related news, and that is the place where you will find it. So,
okay, thank you.
A little plug for you, Jeffrey, but really because it's a really great site. So,
thank you. So like I say, if they don't win in New York, they're probably dead meat.
I'd never understood this argument that it should be legal because it's a game of skill. I mean, nobody thinks that poker isn't a game of skill, but that doesn't make it legal.
Yeah, but if that's the argument you have to make to stay open, you make that argument.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
All right, we got a couple other subjects to talk about. Florida. The state has decided they no longer want to allow blackjack to be played at casinos. The casinos aren't willing to give up this lucrative source of revenue without a fight. How's this going to turn out, Jeffrey?
This isn't about table games.
This is not about table games.
This isn't about blackjack. This is about money. Okay. All the casinos in Florida are Indian casinos run by the Seminoles. Most of them are located in the southern part of the state. There are none in the Panhandle area that borders Alabama and Georgia. So the Seminoles, for years, with the help of Disney, had successfully blocked any non-gaming expansion, non-Indian casino gaming expansion in the state. And many in the state are upset with that. So, let's get more money out of the Seminoles, and one way to do it is see if we can close down, threaten to close down their blackjack, because their table games operation has to be legally ratified by the state every so often. I don't know all the technicals. So right now we're moving from a game of money to a game of blackjack that will end up in a game of chicken.
That's a nice line.
Yeah.
You worked on that all the way over here? Okay, so who do you think will chicken out first?
I don't. My guess is there will be an 11th hour and 59th minute settlement that the Seminoles will be giving more money to the state to keep their blackjack. That's my prediction. But,
good.
It's up to everybody.
Caesars Entertainment, formerly called Harris, here's a technical term, has been in financial doo-doo for some time. There have been various bankruptcies and transferring of assets from one Caesars pocket to another. Most recently, Caesars decided to get out of the Ohio market. They were managing 3 horseshoe properties. Their new owner, Rock Gaming, currently operates Greektown Casino in Detroit. The chairman of that company, Dan Gilbert, founder of Quicken Loans and majority owner of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Jeffrey, do you think those 3 casinos will survive as well under Rock Gaming as they did under Harris or Caesars?
Yeah. Well, I'm from Ohio.
It's okay. Nobody's perfect.
Yes. And I just moved back here from Ohio. I can't speak for Cincinnati, except there was an interesting item in the news today that they're being sued by Ohio State because of their naming something the shoe. And I guess Ohio State, I don't know all the technicalities, but I thought that was interesting. But most northern Ohioans never go to southern Ohio. Most southern Ohioans never go. So I have no idea what's going to Cincinnati. But the 3 casinos in Cuyahoga County, which are the 2 operated by Harrah's, owned by Rock Gaming. One is a casino downtown. One is a Racino in the suburbs, as well as a Racino owned by Hard Rock, are doing very well. Maybe not up to the wonderful predictions they sold the state on, but they're doing well. Also, the majority of their customers, I would say the majority of their customers, if I walk through, not the majority, but a good minority, don't know that Caesars operates it. First, it's called the Horseshoe. It's not called Caesars. The only thing they know about Caesars is Total Rewards. Okay. Dan Gilbert has always been the face of the casino. He was the one who, for example, put up the seed money that the downtown casino is located in an area we called Public Square, and they wanted to completely do a complete renovation of Public Square, and he put up the seed money to do Public Square as long as they made it clear it came from the casino. So also, based on how he operates Greektown, I would assume that he's going to do a lot more promotions, a lot more slot club stuff oriented toward local interests, as opposed to national programs that
Total
Rewards does. So the only loss was, and they've already sent out a letter, okay, explaining that they're going to start a new club and you won't lose anything and all that. So they're on top of it. The only thing they have to do is maybe make an arrangement with a couple of Las Vegas hotels, because you no longer have the arrangement, and maybe they'll just stick with Caesars on that. But other than that,
so you think those particular casinos will be just fine?
They'll be just fine because most customers won't know the difference.
Well, they might be better. I mean,
might even be better.
I never thought of Caesars as a very good operator, so seems to me they can only go up.
The bright decisions that were made by Gilbert, not Caesars. So I don't see any change in that.
Very good. So that sounds optimistic for people who live in that area. Very good. Jeffrey Compton, head of CDCGamingReports.com. Thank you very much. We'll see you next month or so. Very good. Our second guest is named Dennis Krum. He is not the former coach of the University of Louisville basketball team, but he has been a management consultant and troubleshooter with many years' experience in the casino industry. Dennis Krum, welcome to Gambling with an Edge.
Thank you, Bob.
Not so long ago, you posted a 2,000-word blog on VP Free called The Devolution of Gaming: Why Casinos Are in Trouble. I can't speak for anyone else, but I had to look up the definition of devolution. In this context, it basically means things are going downhill. So why don't you take 5 minutes or so and discuss the article, and then Richard and I will ask you some questions about it.
Devolution is simple. It's the opposite of evolution. Casinos have evolved for many years, and the addition of video poker 30 years ago gave a great big boost to the locals industry. For the past 10 years, it's been devolving. It's been going backwards. And it finally hit me that the real reason was a change in thinking. 30 years ago, we never talked about a casino's win. We talked about the handle. We talked about the drop. We talked about the hold. But the concept of a win implies that we're now enemies. In the past, the casino business was merely a facilitator, a place to, in essence, arbitrage money, to shuffle money between people and collect a fee for being in that business. Everybody was welcome because the more they handled, the more they made as their fee. And the more people won, the happier they were. The more people came to the casino, the happier the casino was. And that's what evolved the gaming industry. The minute they started thinking win, now we got to start thinking of our loss. And so we got to find a way to stop those people from winning from us and increase our profits that way. That's the downhill slide. It's been downhill ever since.
Okay. Part of your premise is that the casinos decided to kick out all winners. Let's say a casino manager had the following philosophy: any player who wins 10 grand a year for 3 years straight is to be eliminated from our slot club. In your opinion, how would that affect long-term profitability of that casino?
devastating because it's coming from the premise, again, of winning. If their business is to handle money, then the more money they handle, the more profit they're going to make. To exclude anyone is insane.
Yeah, I have to say, I read the article, and it says you're a management and casino consultant, and I just thought to myself that that you were the most enlightened consultant I had ever read, because I just never hear people from the casino side of this making this argument. So I think you're preaching to the choir here, but now, have you gotten a response from people on the casino side to this? I mean, when you present this idea to them, do they think you're out of your mind, or what do they think?
I have not got a response and don't expect one. Language is a tool we learned and use to communicate. What we don't realize, I've studied philosophy for many years, that our language is also a constraint. It's a restriction on our thought. And the minute we get into a thought process of win and lose, there's no room for anything else. Everything the casino does, every manager in that casino is thinking from a framework of win and loss. There's no room in his mind for something, it's as foreign to the casino business as acupuncture might be to a surgeon. They're two different fields. They don't mesh. How do you communicate together? So you try to present such an idea to casino management, and they say, "What are you talking about? This is hocus pocus. This is magic. This isn't our business."
Yeah, I can see it would be a hard sell to say, I know this guy wins $250,000 a year, but you should let him play because it's going to help you. That would be a tough sell.
Why?
Well, you're boiling it down to the individual in that case, as opposed to looking at the problem generally. One of the things that's happened is, and the table game side, is the people that are in the pits really don't understand the games anymore. They're basically clerks, who fill out rating slips, and so what has happened is anybody who starts winning too much, regardless of the game, they will just throw out, rather than. And part of this, I think, really also stems from the problem of there's no private ownership. If Benny Binion had a player, he's going to do what's going to make the most money in the long run, and would know that throwing out a guy because he's gotten lucky on roulette and has gotten ahead $100,000 playing roulette, he would know that that's not in his best interest to throw the guy out.
Well, but Benny's son Ted had some heavy-handed throwing people out from blackjack players and stuff.
Yes, that did happen. Yeah, but again, my point is that if you have a private ownership, right now there are too many. What they are most concerned with, the management in the casino, is not making the most money. They're concerned with keeping their job. Now, they can never lose their job if they throw a guy out that bets a lot of money. Nobody's going to fire them for that. But if they let a guy who bets a lot of money play and the guy wins $1 million, well, they can lose their job for that. Even if the guy isn't a skilled player. So the management is their main priority is keeping their job rather than figuring out how to earn the most money for the casino.
Self-preservation.
Would you agree with that?
I agree 100%. But I don't know much about Ted, but I know that Jack was far wiser.
Yeah.
And I remember a player. Anybody ever hear of Archie Karras?
Oh,
Yeah.
he's had trouble in San Diego not so long
He just
ago.
got put in the black book. Yeah.
I watched one day, I think it was a Good Friday, when Archie came up and locked up a table, a craps table, and they gave him 10 racks of $10,000 chips, and they put up their own 10 racks of $10,000 chips, $10 million each side, and I watched Archie go through his $10 million, putting 10,000 on the line and taking 100,000 odds.
Yeah, Jack Binion didn't throw Archie out when he got ahead.
Never.
$50 million.
Never.
Although that whole story is mind-boggling to me anyway, because, I mean, Archie is in the Griffin book as a dice cheat. So how can you let a guy who's a known dice cheat get ahead $50 million? Now, he did, I guess, lose the money back eventually, but there's something weird about that whole story. So.
But even go back 40 years. Casinos used to pay people, they called them shills, to lose or win money in their casinos. Create excitement. Create the idea that you can win money in a casino.
Yeah.
And now you see people winning money in the casino and they throw them out instead of paying them? Duh, something's wrong.
Do you feel winning at blackjack is considered differently by casino managers than winning at video poker?
No. I think casinos view winning, period, as an affront to their profits.
Okay. Without referring to them by name, you mocked both Station Casinos and Boyd Casinos here in Las Vegas as being trigger-happy at eliminating strong players. I personally think Station Casino is the biggest offender of this in the Las Vegas locals market. Do you concur?
I don't know. I've got a lot of personal experience that I've seen or heard about firsthand at Orleans, for an example, and Suncoast.
Those are both Boyd.
Both Boyd, where they were outrageous. One couple I know played a $5 progressive at Orleans for 2 days. They lost $37,000. They didn't hit the progressive, and they were 86 the next day.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was their thinking there? They lost $37,000.
Well, but they're advantage players.
Wow.
For years at the Orleans, they had a $5.97 double bonus progressive in their high limit area.
Yes.
And there's a whole group of players who could play any of the games around the outside. But if you sat down at one of the seats at the progressive, they bounced you immediately. And, on the outside, they had up to a $25 NSU. There was some good games there.
I was playing that $5 progressive one day. Played it for about 5 hours, and I went to lunch. And when I came back from lunch, there was a manager, I forget what his name was, but he came up to me and said, "We'd prefer you didn't play this game anymore." The president of the Orleans at the time was a friend of mine that I knew from his days at the Flamingo. So I went to his office, and I sat down and had a talk with him. And he made a phone call, and lo and behold, I was allowed to go back to the $5 progressive. But this manager then was transferred to the Gold Coast, and he started the same campaign there. There was a time
Did
when...
it matter what number you got on the progressive?
No.
Really? So even if you were just playing it when it was...
The fact that you were playing it, their argument was, well, our regular players built this progressive. We don't want anybody else to hit it.
Well,
You're taking away their chance.
is it because you weren't as regular a player?
Probably.
Okay, so if you played in there a lot, then they would let you play that machine.
Maybe. I kind of doubt it. They had a promotion once, and I kind of think you were the onion on it, Bob, that started at midnight, and it was maybe it was like a double royal flush promotion at the Orleans, and it started at midnight sharp. And all the advantage players were there in the high limit room. And midnight came. Everybody had been waiting. Nobody playing at all till midnight started. And the minute they started playing, in marched security and took 9, 10, 11 people and 86 them from the casino. You can't ever come back here.
I wasn't in on any part of that, but I had a similar thing at the Suncoast where I don't play there because it's 25 miles away, and they had 10 times points on 10-10-10, October 10th, 2010, and they had $5.96 bonus poker deluxe. So this is 99.64. So with 10 times points, it's 100.64, which for $5 players is much a bigger edge than we typically get. And so I started at midnight, and there were several other $5 machines empty, and I'm going, there's something wrong here. Other players were probably smarter than me. I did hit the problem is every 4 of a kind you get a W2G. And when you get a W2G, it's noticeable. So the W2Gs are $2,000. As it happened, in about 20 minutes, I hit two of these 4 of a kinds, which is you're supposed to hit them maybe not quite that fast, but it's not unusual to hit them that fast. But it's faster than average. On the second one, they brought 6 security guards. Now, I was a 63-year-old man at the time, certainly not packing. One security guard would have been sufficient, or just tell me, go away. But 6 security guards. So they watched me walk to the cage, 2 people on one end and 2 on the other, and 1 on my back. And I go, they said, you can't play video poker, or you can play any other games in the casino. So I decided to walk around the casino for a half hour and just up the escalator, and they're right behind me, and just walk around and then go down the escalator and walk around. And eventually I said, this game's no fun anymore. I'm going to go home. But it was kind of interesting. And that them kicking out from Suncoast, that 80s eventually effectively no-mailed me from any Coast Casino at all. So even though I was welcome before that to play at Orleans, Gold Coast, and Samstown, no more. And
well, you could still play. You just weren't going to get any mail.
Yeah, I wasn't going to get any mail.
Right.
And a lot of their promotions are you only get the multiplier if you get a mailer. So I decided at that point Gold Coast was too smoky anyway. So other grapes were sour. All right.
So let me ask you about an area that Bob and I have a little bit of a disagreement. Okay. So if you're running the casino and you have a progressive, and let's say it's a bank. Let's say there's 6 machines linked to a progressive, and it gets up to where it's a positive play. Are you going to let the pros play?
I'm going to invite more of them.
Okay, so he's with me.
Okay.
The reason is only one person has a positive play, the guy that hits the progressive.
Not true.
Well, no, everybody has a positive play, but so does the casino. The casino has a positive play, and the pros are going to play max coin as fast as they can possibly play.
But if that alienates your good players who know that when it gets up, all these outside guys come in and steal their jackpot, then that alienates your core players.
Well, but let's say instead that it's a single machine and that it's not video poker. Let's say it's just a slot machine and it's a single machine.
Okay.
Would you rather have a pro player or a little old lady who's 75 years old?
So you're now making that's no skill at all.
Yeah, there's no skill at all. I mean, but my contention is that the pro player is valuable to you as well, and they're going to play faster than the old lady, and they're going to play 24 hours a day, or they're going to, trade off on the machine, and the machine's going to get played 24 hours a day, as opposed to, if you kick out all the pros, it may not get played 24 hours a day.
But the thought is, if the pros win, and if they have it locked up, they will. They're going to take the money and run. If this little old lady hits the jackpot, she's going to come back tomorrow and start depositing it again.
Well, I know that that's the thinking, but I think I think that those pros, you're going to make enough off those pros to more than make up for what extra money the little old lady's going to lose that she wouldn't have lost anyway.
May I interject something?
Yes,
here?
please. You're our guest.
That's why you're here.
This is exactly what I'm talking about. What you are arguing about is win-loss thinking. There is no win-loss when you're a money manager shuffling funds around. You don't care who plays. You don't care who wins. You don't care who loses. You care how much money goes across the tables or through the machines. And if the pro player can run $20,000 an hour and the average visitor to that casino plays $1,000 an hour, which one do you want? Now, I see you jumped on an error in wording that I made earlier. I said that when you're sitting down at a bank with a progressive, I said that only one of them has a positive play. I should have said they all have a positive expectation, but only one of them will end up with the positive play. Mathematically, one of them is going to hit the progressive. The rest of them, the higher the progressive goes, are going to adjust their strategy downward, their expectation downward, to go for the royal.
Yeah, they're playing at a bigger disadvantage.
You mentioned a player that we both know well, and I told you I watched him discard a 9 from king high straight flush. And it was a proper play.
Fine. There's a lot of changes in progressives. Again, taking devil's advocate, just try to keep this interesting. Let's say I'm a fast player, but I make a lot of errors in my play. Richard is a fast player who makes every play mathematically correct. Aren't I more of an asset to the casino than Richard?
Yes, but we're both valuable. I think we're both
You
valuable.
both are, because you're both contributing money to the pot.
All right. Now, there are 6 seats on this bank, and they're all filled, and there's 12 people hovering around, which you do see. More dogs than bones, so to speak. Many casinos get in the business of allocating machines as to who can have the machines and who can't. Some slot directors know that a team is on it. They go to the boss of the team and says, you can play, but I need 3 seats. And if you don't give them to me, then all of you will be kicked out. And so let's all live happily ever after. And the head of the team quickly gives up 3 seats because he wants to continue to play. And the slot director gives them to what he considers good customers, which means regular big losers. That's what a good customer is in a casino. Now, you would consider the casino being in the seat allocation business at all to be wrong?
Absolutely.
I don't know. To me, that's a question of... I think Dennis made a really good point. Like, casinos should be in the business of customer service, right? You want to keep your customers as happy as you can keep them because it keeps them in the casino longer and hopefully then gives you more handle of their money. So now you have one of those customer service questions is how do we keep the most customers happy? Because you know that the guy is a professional and he's willing to keep those 3 seats going anyway, I don't know. Maybe I would ask for some of those seats. But again, let's go back to, let's say it was one machine, right? And you say, well, now I got a professional on here, or I got this person who loses $100,000 a year in the casino. And you say, okay, I'm going to remove the professional and give it to the lady who loses $100,000 a year. Well, now what happens if a lady who loses $200,000 a year comes in? Are you going to take it away from the $100,000 lady and give it to the $200,000 lady?
I like to be a casino owner where I have ladies losing hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you see my point. Like, if you're going to give preferential treatment to different customers based on what they've lost, you're going to get yourself into some sticky problems there.
Yes, you will.
I can't help but laugh. If you listen to your words, you're demonstrating that you are caught up in the same win-loss thought process.
Yeah.
A player losing $100,000 a year or $200,000 a year, you wouldn't care.
Well, wait. If you don't, I mean, won't you concede that some players are more valuable to you, the casino, than others?
The ones who play the most. Forget about whether they win or lose.
Okay, but what if you have two players that play equal amounts, but one bets 5 times more than the other?
I think he's talking about
betting equal amounts.
I mean, they play equal amounts of time.
Oh,
you're saying they play the most, but you mean the most dollars over time.
Most dollars.
Okay.
How many dollars go into the hopper?
Right. Well,
'cause that's what operates the casino.
The 200,000 lady puts more dollars through than the 100,000 lady.
Right.
So
what you want is more of both.
Yes, I agree. I think you want more of everybody.
And you don't, therefore, exclude anybody. I don't care if they're counting blackjack. I had another friend who was one of the managers at Desert Inn many, many years. This is 25 years ago. And the big story at the time was the card counters, how the blackjack players were taking over the casinos and raking them over the coals. And I said, what about that? He says, who do you think is promoting those stories? He said, we are.
But then why would they throw us out?
They never threw them out back then.
Oh, sure. I got thrown out of every place in town.
Well, okay.
I mean,
part of that was the mystique, the concept that, look, we're throwing people out because they win too much. 1 out of 1,000 card counters is really going to make it at blackjack.
Yeah.
The other 999.
It's considerably more than 1 out of 1,000.
Well,
no, I think there are probably 999 bad players for every
That's what I
one.
mean.
But he's talking about card counters.
No, yeah, I'm talking about blackjack players. I'm saying.
Then it's less than 1 in 1,000.
1,000 people read about that one blackjack player that got thrown out because he made money. They're all going to go try it.
Yeah.
Very good.
So if you owned the casino, what would you do with a card counter that, was spreading to the max, and you can plug in how much his bet spread is, and let's say that you can say, okay, based on this bet spread with the game that we're dealing, this guy has an EV of
$1 million a year.
$500 an hour. You're saying you wouldn't back that player off?
I might back him off, or I might change the rules of the table to prevent the big spreads.
Okay, so you would limit his spread.
Limit the spreads. That's what you do with any game. If you're losing too much on a video poker game, you change the payback.
Well, that's one way to do it. You can change the schedule, or you can change the players.
Right.
There are different philosophies on that.
Yeah. Or I mean, if I ran the circus, one of my favorite Dr. Seuss book, if I ran the circus, I would not bar a video poker player. That's just insane to me. But I might, adjust his mail. I wouldn't change the machine. I would change what I send him in the mail. And with blackjack, I think most of the card counters that think they're winning are not. So, I think that Bill Zender had the right attitude. Like, if they're betting less than $200, don't even bother. It's not worth time even looking at them if they're betting that small. And if they are, you have competent help that can tell if they actually are a winning player. And then if they are a winning player, then I would ask them not to play probably, or I would rather do that. Like, let me buy you dinner. Stop playing, rather than say, okay, you have to flat bet, or some solution like that.
Treat them as shills.
Well, yeah, but if the guy has a $500 an hour win rate, I would want to narrow his win rate down to something small, and then he's not going to want to play anyway.
Right.
So rather than mess around with it like that, I'd rather say, hey,
All right, we've been talking to Dennis Krum, who and discussing his interesting article on the devolution of gaming.
And where can people read that article if they want to go read it?
Well, it is on VP Free. Have you posted it somewhere, Richard?
I have not, but I could put it on our Facebook page, I guess. Or have you posted it anywhere other than VP Free?
No, you're welcome to.
Okay. All right. I'll put it up on the Gambling with an Edge Facebook page.
Very good. South Point has more than 10,000 games, returning more than 99%. This is more than anybody else has. This week, earn 1,100 video poker points or 500 slot points. And next week, pick up a frozen turkey and serving platter between Sunday and Wednesday. You keep your points and the turkey.
I just stopped my wife from buying a turkey today. I said, I know some casinos giving one away. So there you go.
So are you going to play 1,100 video poker points at the South Point?
I guess I will.
All right.
Do you have time for one little interjection?
Yes, we will, but commercials come first. But yes, you will do that. At Thanksgiving Day itself, you earn double points on video poker, 10 times on penny slots, and 5 times on all other slots. Midnight to midnight, no machines excluded, and no limits on the points you may earn. Tomorrow's video poker class is the last one this semester. It's called Secrets of a Video Poker Winner. It does not cover how to play the hands. In this class, we're not concerned whether you hold a high pair or 3 to the royal. We're concerned with things like money management rules that work and ones that don't work, dealing with the IRS, dealing with slot clubs, keeping records. So hints that I've learned in my career as to make you a better video poker player, much more than just how to play the games. Playing the games well get you to first base, but there's second base, third base, and home plate, which are also important. At the Palms, every Friday night's a drawing. 10 people earn a total of $10,000. Top prize equal to $3,000. You do not have to be there to win. You must collect by midnight or your prize evaporates. Multiple drawing entries occur Friday afternoon and Friday evening. Every Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. and on Thanksgiving Day all day, double points on video poker all day long, 10 times points on slots. PFP, play for prizes. Until the day after Thanksgiving, you earn prizes for Albertsons Markets. So gift cards up to $190 a day. You earn them at a rate of 0.2%. The last day in November and the first 4 days in December, the prize is going to be free play at the same rate. at videopoker.com. It's the best place to play lots of games. Sign up for the gold membership, $8.95 a month, $79.95 a year. This allows you to get correction on most of the games. This week's contest is 50 play quick quads. So this is 50 play machine is 5 times as many hands as 10 play. And
You're sharp like that.
And quick quads itself is a 6-coin per line game, where a quad, 4 of a kind, is a hand like 10, 10, 10, 7, 3 counts as a quad or a quick quad, because the 7 and the 3 add up to 10. Now, I'll be playing quick quads at the South Point on Thanksgiving, where it's $10 play. Sure would like it if it would $1.50 play. Haven't seen that game around with good pay schedules, but that's the game of the week this time. All right, Dennis, you were dying to interject there somewhere. Do you remember what the
turkey reminded me of a story? One of the early promotions we did at Arizona Charlie's was to give away a turkey at Thanksgiving for every 4 of a kind. Turkeys were a lot cheaper back then. But we saw that the household went up. People were playing for 4 of a kinds to get a turkey rather than playing for the royal. And the house edge went up. So when Thanksgiving was over, we gave away a roll of quarters for every 4 of a kind.
That's $10.
Quarter machines.
And so an extra. So what is that?
While you're figuring that out, I just want to
40
say,
coins?
a really well thought out promotion can actually make the casino a lot of money when it looks like they're,
Yeah, 40 per 4 of a kind gives away a bunch.
0.2%, I think.
I think more than that. It's especially if it's all 4 of a kinds. Is it just 4 sevens?
It was all 4 of a kinds.
It gives away in the percentage, in the multiple percentages.
Yeah.
So I don't.
What's a roll of quarters? $10 or
$10.
Yeah, $10. 40 coins. He's right.
So 40 coins. But you get them every round numbers 400 hands.
Yeah.
400 hands. So it's like you're getting a coin every 10 hands. All right. I have a blog every Tuesday, and today's blog, Richard read it and said he had a comment about it. Now, in the particulars part of the blog, it had to do with this player went to a casino which was having 5 times points in the mornings, and then a break of 4 or 5 hours, and then 6 times points in the afternoon or in the evening. But in the middle, you only got 2 times points. So this guy from out of town went in, played best machines in the morning, took a 5-hour break, hit the machines later. When they were having the same promotion a month later, he calls up the casino and said, I'm going to play a lot. I'd like RFB. And the casino said, you're not really the kind of player we're looking for who just plays on the very loosest machines during the very best promotions. And so a lot of us have had that kind of discussion before. So if he had a good excuse and he promises to behave in the future, he could still be playing there. Instead, he decided to write a letter to the general manager, tell him what a lousy block grind joint this was and how they aren't treating people well. And for some reason, he wasn't very successful. So, Richard, you had a comment on this.
Yeah, I just, I used to say learning to count cards is really easy. Learning how to make money at it is tough. And what I've come to find is that that's true of almost every aspect of gambling. It's true with video poker. It's pretty easy to learn how to play perfect strategy of jacks or better. Learning how to make money at it is tough. Same thing with betting sports. or whatever, and it just, if people would give a little bit more thought to laying some cover, you know what I mean? Or just not acting like an asshole, basically, you know what I mean? So, yeah, the way your column comes out today or tomorrow?
Comes out every Tuesday.
Yeah, so today, yeah.
Came out today.
Because there was a little more to it, I think. And you had some suggestions that if the guy had just played a little bit more than like when the clock strikes 12, you get up from the chair. And I think that a very similar thing goes on at the coast properties where they have, X number of points but only for the first 10,000 coin in, So you'll get a lot of people go in there and play 9-6 jacks, exactly 10,000 in action, and then they're surprised when they get no mailed or whatever. So, I just think people could be a lot smoother with some of this, and they wouldn't have anywhere near as many of the problems that they do. That was it.
All right. Dennis has thought that the casinos should let them play anyway, but given the casino's a money-making business, surely the casino has to make some decisions.
That guy
or change the promotion.
For me, that guy, RFB doesn't cost very much for a casino that owns a hotel. Well, I don't know about the drink, but the room and the food. So if that guy called me and he'd had one trip, I would say to the guy, hey, you know what? I'm going to give you this room and the food, but I notice you only played during this time, and, that probably is not going to get you room and food next time if that's the way you're going to approach it, So go give them a few $100s in action on penny slots or something, I mean, they'll love you for it.
And you do what you have to do to keep it.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Our guest next week is a surveillance guy. Willie Allison runs a surveillance seminars every year. So he talks to surveillance people from all over the world. And we have lots of questions on surveillance issues.
Yeah, and actually send us your questions because that would really be good. I, unfortunately, am not going to be here next week, but I am going to call in. I'll be on Skype. So, send us your questions at facebook.com/gamblingwithanedge or gamblingwithanedge@gmail.com, or you can tweet them to me at RWM21. You can get the show delivered to you automatically every week at iTunes, YouTube, Stitcher, or at richardmunchkin.com. You can find an archive of all of our old shows at bobdancer.com. So, it should be a very good show next week. And we have some blackjack players coming up. We haven't had many blackjack players on in a while. So
we're going to have 2 shows in a row on blackjack in early December. All right. Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Jeffrey Compton. Thank you, Dennis Krum. Go out and hit lots of royal flushes, everybody. Good night.
You've been listening to Gambling with an Edge with your hosts, Bob Dancer and Richard Munchkin. Subscribe to the show in iTunes, and episodes will be delivered to you automatically every week. Archived versions of past shows may be found at bobdancer.com and richardmunchkin.com. We welcome emails at gamblingwithanedge@gmail.com. Bob Dancer and Richard Munchkin are both available on Facebook and welcome your questions. The sponsors for the show are the South Point Hotel, Casino and Spa, the M Resort, the Palms Casino Resort, and the website videopoker.com. Join us again next week for another Gambling with an Edge.
Views and opinions expressed on this program were those of the hosts and guests and did not necessarily reflect those of Vegas All Net Radio, its affiliates, or its parent company.